Coming home now. Let's go. Throw it home. Shoot. Let's go now. What do you say? What do you say? Come on now. Get the ball. Let it get there. All right. All right, Randall. Want to catch that ball? Get there. All right.
Look at that hot shot, Randall. You seen his new car? What a hot shot. It's pretty nice. It's probably over in the parking lot. Want to go take a look at it? You know, I used to know that guy when he was all right. He's okay. He's not a bad guy. You want to go take a look at his car? What a hot shot. Come on, let's go take a look at his car. Why do I want to take a look at his car?
Come on now. Get the ball. Let it get there. All right.
Well, there it is. What do you think? It's not so hot. Well, it's not so bad either. Look at that, he left his keys in the car. Man, what a dummy. Want to take it for a little spin? Are you kidding me? No, they'll be practicing for another 2 hours. You're not serious. Sure, we'll be back in 2 hours, easy. I don't know. He won't find out. He'll never even know it's gone. Just check your watch and we'll be back in 2 hours. Come on. All right.
All right, Randall, that's the way to go, man. Shoot him out, all right.
Hey, do you think your old man's ever gonna let you get a car? I don't know. The only thing he ever talks to me about is when I'm gonna get my next haircut. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid. I used to have a barber named Mr. Combs. Hey, let's see how fast this thing will do 0 to 60. 3, 2, 1, 0. All right. All right. Oh, no.
You broke my heart, so I broke your jaw. Now your perfect smile is a perfect flaw.
Well, that's done. Let's go call up the girls. Sounds good. I'll drive you over to the phone. Hey, I called them last time. You call them this time. Hey, we don't have much time. Come on, you call 'em. You're better at that stuff than I am. Yeah, you did blow it the last time. I did not. You blew it. Okay, if I blew it, then you call them. Hey, man, I'm driving. You call 'em. Oh, man.
Got my elevator shoes. I got my sequin jumpsuit. I got my Rasta hairdo. I'm gonna get duded up for you. I'm gonna get duded up for you. I'm gonna get duded up for you. Yeah!
Hi, guys. Nice car. Isn't that Randall's car?
Yeah, he loaned it to us.
You did?
Yeah, that Randall's all right.
You can't drive. You don't even have a license.
Drove here, didn't I?
If you get caught, you'll be in so much trouble.
What are they gonna do? Take away his library card? Come on, girls, let's go for a ride.
Well, what do you think? We have nothing else to do? Yeah, but they don't have a license, and I don't know.
Well, if you want to sit around and be bored all day, that's fine with us.
I feel so free today.
Well, how do you like the car, girls?
I don't know.
It's all right. Rides well. Yeah, but the windshield's cracked.
Probably got hit by a baseball.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty nice.
Well, I've got a friend that's got a Porsche.
What's so great about a Porsche?
Hey, let's go for a ride up in the hills.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Hey, I know a great place up there, too.
We've been just good friends, but who can see around the bend?
It's right over to the left.
What is it?
You'll see. Come on, it's right over the hill.
Hey, I don't want to go down there. There might be some snakes. No, there aren't. Come on.
Come on, let's go check it out.
What's down there anyway?
It's a great old car. Come on.
Let's go see it. Who wants to see a car?
Come on, let's go.
All right, stay here. Come on, you guys.
Come on.
Well, don't blame me when you get bitten by a snake. Sure you want to come?
There it is. What do you think?
Hey, that's neat.
Love it. Vicky? Tim? Val? Come on, you guys. This isn't funny.
Hey, Val. In about 5 minutes, Randall's gonna find out his car's gone.
Don't you know you have it? He said he loaned it to you.
Oh, we kind of took it.
Swell. Let's go.
Got a hot, hot date at 9. Gonna be there right on time. Trouble is say 55 if I'm gonna make up time. I gotta move down the line. Step on the pedal and make up time. I gotta step on the pedal and make up time.
Don't you think you're going a little fast?
Yeah, take it easy, Val.
Val, come on, slow down, please.
Oh, no.
Absolutely crazy. He's signaling you.
3 minutes 52. In a minute, then I'll be there with you. Baby, you're the dog I ride. It's the make up time. I gotta step on the pedal and make up
Now you gotta stop.
We lost him. I don't see him anymore.
You gotta stop. Wait a minute.
You lost him, okay? Just take it easy, huh? No, I gotta put some distance. Val, we just can't do this, Dad.
Feel so free today. I don't know why, but here I wanna stay. You sitting so close to me, maybe just could it be we're falling in love? But who can see around the bend?
Steve Liebman, all that great music, all those songs. Excuse me. Hi, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to our lunchtime streaming show. That was Joyride, which is a film, amazing film from the 70s about the dangers of joyriding. I was looking on my phone. We had a joyriding incident here on the street where I live, where, again, some young teenagers stole a car and went way too fast and ended up, there was a telephone pole, and they basically, ended, on it, up in the air. So they were swerving to avoid a car that was coming the other way because they didn't see a stop sign, and they ended, up on the telephone pole. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Airbags were deployed. The car, I'm fairly sure, was totaled, as was the telephone pole. So it's a thing that teens still do. Joyride. Thanks for joining us for our lunchtime streaming show. I collect old educational films, and I've been showing them to folks like you for more than 20 years. But since mid-March, we've been streaming every weekday at lunch. And I have more than 27,000 films, and we have watched many. We have watched, what's the total count? 524 films, 523 films. So more than 520 films, and we've got thousands to go. So thanks for joining us. This next film is an odd film. You know, collecting educational films, you think it's going to be the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic, geography, math, economics, literature, blah, blah, blah. This is a very odd film, and I got it from a school. And this is how to do stunt fighting and stunt falls. I showed this film last year in August for the opening of the Alamo Draft House in Los Angeles. And basically I did it because it was right around the time that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, and there was, some talk about stuntmen and stuff, and so they asked me to show something that was kind of thematically related to that. And so I'm not a big celebrity person, but I do have a soft spot for certain celebrities, and one of them is Zoe Bell, who is a stunt woman who was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and also was in Death Proof, and was a stunt woman for Xenia Warrior Princess, et cetera, et cetera. Really amazing. I want to say she's Australian. I might be either from New Zealand or Australia. Anyways, so she was in the audience when I showed this film, and she basically narrated it and talked about the stunts. And it was one of those moments where I was super, super excited, because here is a stunt person who knows the craft and is like at the top of her game in the stunt world, commenting on stunts. And I reached out to her and said, hey, if you want to do this again, let me know. And then, of course, never heard anything. But anyway, Zoe Bell. And this is Stunt Fights and Falls.
Hi, my name is Jock Mahoney. In the good old days of motion pictures, when the director had to film a fight, the director would take the heavy aside and inform him the leading man was upset and was going to land a few good ones. Then the director would take the leading man aside and tell him that the heavy was going to make a real fight out of the scene. The leading man better put the heavy away quick. Well, to everyone's chagrin, real fights didn't come off on the screen. So Alan Pomeroy at Warner Brothers realized that there had to be a technique developed, so he took cameras and a gaggle of stuntmen, and through trial and error developed the screen fight technique that we use today. Now, in the good old days, they usually scheduled fights the last day of the picture. With the picture already shot, if someone was hurt, so what? Today, the entire action is handled by trained stuntmen. You all right?
No trouble.
Good. It was a nice fall. May I introduce Chuck Clow, who will be working with us in Stunts #1. Thank you, Chuck. Audiences live vicariously, and action is a big part of that game. Now, if there's a credibility gap in what you see, it becomes a farce. To meet the public's demand for new and more exciting scenes, the risks involved are multiplied. Actors' contracts will prevent them from doing dangerous stunts, even if a man wants to do his own work, because of insurance policies. Well, stuntmen are ready, willing, and able to take the risks. That is for adequate compensation, and often for the challenges to prove that it can be done, plus adequate compensation. There's an old saying here in Hollywood that the toughest part of any stunt is get the assistant director to agree on your price. The third member of our group that will be helping us show technique today in Stunts #1 is Jay Jones. Gentlemen, you want to get started? Now, no athlete in the world would think of doing anything without first a good warm-up. Most people are in less than top physical condition. But first and foremost for every stuntman is a good warm-up, as it should be for you. Fight sequence, the first thing you have to consider is the camera. The camera only has one eye, therefore its depth perception is very bad. But that's good. The camera in the correct position on a punch, it'll be real and it'll be a hit. That same punch with a different camera angle, you'll definitely see that it's a miss. Film normally goes through a camera at 24 frames a second. You can actually throw a punch between frames. That means that the camera misses the punch and the audience is cheated. So you have to set a punch up in 3 parts. You set the punch. This gives the audience the inkling of the coming action, and also your partner sees that the punch is going to start. The punch must travel the longest distance possible before the point of impact. So set it, long travel to the point of impact, and then follow through. Same on the roundhouse left. Set it, Longest distance possible to the point of impact, and then your follow-through. At a normal working distance, you have no problem missing. But say you're working much closer. You have to start your punch exactly the same, but bringing it on a flat plane closer to your chin than your opponent's chin for a very simple reason. If you bring it closer to his chin and on the follow-through, you're going to get him with an elbow. So start it out here normally on a flat plane, right straight across, closer to your chin than to his chin, and the follow-through again. Chuck and Jay would like to show you the proper head takes for different punches. Okay, do the uppercut again and get in there. That's it. Beautiful. Okay, block the punches now. The right and the left. Okay, block of the kick. Beautiful. When using a high camera angle shooting down, actors rehearse a slow punch so the cameraman can adjust the proper impact height as he sees it through the camera. No matter how off the mark it seems to the actors, that's where the punch must travel for the correct result on film. A low-angle camera shooting up at the actors is set the same way. You ask the cameraman to advise you of the right line of travel that the punch must take. To hurt a fellow actor is unforgivable. So ability, cooperation, and safety are your prime concern. Now the fine line between an injury and believability is control and practice. Control and practice. Take all the time that you need to rehearse a fight sequence until you're absolutely comfortable with it. And don't get in front of the cameras until you are. Now, if you're the guy that's taking a bump or a fall, make sure you know how you're going to land and where you're going to land. Now, what if you're going to take a high fall? There's an old adage that it isn't the fall that kills you. It's the sudden stop. I've been told that a Russian fell from an airplane at 13,000 feet, landed in a deep snowbank, and was able to dig his way out and walk away. He was shaken, but he wasn't injured. The snow compressing under him brought his landing to a gradual stop. Now, often in a motion picture, when a precipitous fall is imminent and incorporated into a fight sequence, the audience will eventually see the fall in 3 cuts. The real actor takes a punch, and his reaction tells us that he's about to fall. The second cut is a long shot in which the stuntman doubles for the actor, continues the action for the fall itself without showing its completion. The last cut shows the real actor seemingly hitting the ground on impact. It's most important that the stuntman matches the actor's position as he starts his fall, and that his body flying past camera or out the bottom of camera duplicates the actor's position for the shot of impact. The film editor cuts the 3 scenes together, and interesting sequence results. In order to learn bodily control in the air, one of the best things to use that I know is a diving board. I'd like to show you a few dives that will help you with your coordination. A jackknife, swan dive, half twist, half gainer with a half twist. Another excellent way to master bodily control and coordination is to use a trampoline. Now But don't take unnecessary risks working alone. A couple of spotters can aid you out of possible danger. For a high fall, stuntmen frequently use nets, air pads, or empty cardboard cartons to land on. The boxes are assembled by simply interlocking the end flaps. Once assembled, all sharp corners are hammer flattened, a very important safety consideration. In placing the boxes, the stuntman doing the fall determines positioning and how large the stack must be as to height and width. A piece of canvas is placed over the boxes to hold the pile together on impact. Once the ends of the tarp have been lashed together securely, our man is ready for a practice fall. When he lands on the tarp-covered boxes, air, compressing as the boxes collapse, will cushion his fall. That is, providing the physics equation is correct and everything else goes well.
1, 2, 3. Are you all right, gang?
All of the proceedings prepared us for a fight sequence like this one. This is what it all leads up to.
Really pretty awesome. So as we were watching this, Zoe Bell was commenting that these were all called by people in the trade cowboy stunts, and obviously there's a lot of fighting and falling. And she said that she loved that, and they actually still use cardboard boxes. But she said that a lot of the work that she's doing now is all, and this all changed because of The Matrix. When The Matrix came out, a lot of the stunts were done with wires. So basically you'd have stunt people on wires being pulled and bouncing around and all this stuff. And so it was a totally different type of vibe. And so she said, I love The Matrix, and I love that work, but it's very different than what we saw in this film. So, and she said occasionally filmmakers will go back and do these specific tricks. I think actually that was the case in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is that they were doing some old school stunts. So, do I think that there should be a Oscar award for stunts? Yes, absolutely. It's phenomenal, the work they do, and it's awesome. So, I wanted to give a shout out to Jason. Thank you so much for buying me some coffee. There's a way that you can keep the brains percolating at AV Geeks. Caffeine, and basically it's my drug of choice, and I drink coffee every day. So thank you so much. This next film is part of a series I did called Those Nice Boys. I did a series of films called Those Naughty Boys, Those Naughty Girls, Son of Those Naughty Boys, Return of Those Naughty Boys. And I was like, you know what? I should show a film with some nice boys. Boys being polite. This is Helpful Little Firemen, which basically talks about what firemen do. And it provides this kind of fantasy of like this little boy who helps be a fireman. Unfortunately, there's some weird scenes in there that just, the back of my hair is kind of stuck up. And I was like, ooh, that's unfortunate. So here's Helpful Little Firemen. Enjoy.
This is a Coronet film. It's a story about him, the helpful little fireman. Once there was a little fireman, and he did important little jobs. He knew that little jobs are big helps. No one worked harder than he did to keep everything in his fire station shiny and clean.
Fire, 12:45.
But when the fire alarm sounded and the fire engines raced to the fire, the helpful little fireman always stayed behind. He was too little to do the big work that firemen are supposed to do, so he just did his little jobs. When the firemen rolled up the big hoses, the little fireman rolled up the little hoses. When it was cleanup time and the fireman did the big job of mopping the bunk room, the little fireman did the little job of wringing out the mops. Every fireman has to do his share of cleaning. But firemen also have to go to school. The fire chief was their teacher. And so the helpful little fireman went to fireman school. He learned about fires in houses and how to put them out. He wanted to learn all he could. And after the chief taught the firemen something, he would ask them questions. The helpful little fireman always knew the answers. The chief was pleased. When there were papers to turn in, it was the helpful little fireman's job to collect them. That was another little job that was a big help. When they studied first aid and the other firemen practiced making big bandages, the helpful little fireman practiced making little ones. And whenever any visitors came to the fire station, the helpful little fireman showed them the things that firemen do. The little fireman let the other firemen carry him down ladders to practice rescuing people. He was brave. The chief knew that a fireman has to be brave. The little fireman learned how to do all the things the other firemen did. The chief knew that the little fireman was doing the best he could to be a good fireman, even though it was hard work sometimes. perhaps the chief also knew the little fireman's secret wish, to go to a fire like the other firemen. Perhaps that was why at dinner time a few days later, while the helpful little fireman ate with all the other firemen, and the chief seemed to talk with them as usual, he really could hardly keep from smiling, for he had decided that the next time the firemen went to a fire, someone who was little but brave and helpful would go along. That night, the little fireman dropped his trousers onto his boots as usual and went to bed as usual to dream about his secret wish. But now the chief had a secret too. That night, not far away from the fire station, a fire had started and someone called for help.
Let's go!
The little fireman got up with the other firemen. He always did that when the alarm sounded at night, even though he knew he wouldn't go with them to the fire. And as usual, when the last fire truck had pulled away, the helpful little fireman was left behind. That's what usually happened, but not this time. The chief told the little fireman what to do. But when he tried to turn on the water at the hydrant, it was too big a job. He needed help. And when he climbed up a ladder, a fireman had to rescue him because he got stuck at the top. That was too big a job, too. And when he tried to help the other fireman with a hose, he couldn't keep up with them. He was too small. He couldn't help fight the fire. He just got in the way. And there weren't any little jobs for him to do. But what was that? A little leak in the hose. But little leaks become big leaks, and firemen can't fight a fire if their hose has a big leak. Someone should know about this, but everyone was so busy fighting the fire. Was this a job the little fireman was big enough to do himself? Yes, he could stop the leak. It was just a little job, but little jobs are big helps. The little fireman knew the little job he had to do. It was morning before the fire was out. The firemen were cleaning up as they always do after a fire. And what did the firemen find? they found the little fireman asleep, still holding tight to the hose. But when the chief moved his hand from the hose, they all saw the leak that the little fireman had covered. The chief knew what the little fireman had done. So did the other fireman. His little job had been a big help. He had saved the day. Hooray for the helpful little fireman. And soon after that, the city had a big parade to honor a special hero. Firemen and fire engines were in the parade. The chief was in the parade, and you know who the hero was. Everyone had come to see him, the helpful little fireman, for this was his parade. It was a parade to remind everyone that little jobs are big helps, and the helpful little fireman was going to keep doing his little jobs until he was big enough to do the big ones.
Such a great film. Obviously it's a retelling of the little Dutch boy story where he puts his finger on a dike. But can you imagine being a little kid and watching this and just the fantasy of like, if that's me, and boys and girls, like I'm working at a fire station and I get to help with a fire and I become the hero and they have a parade for me. Just wonderful. That's immediately what I latched onto when I saw this. And there's some weird. I don't even talk about it. I love this film, and then I showed it in an audience, and the audience started giggling during certain scenes. And I was like, "Huh? Why are they? Oh, I see what's going on." I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can figure it out. Maybe rewatch it later. This next film we're going to watch. Oh, let me say thank you to Eric for some coffees. Eric and we did some screenings at the library that he worked at some time ago. And we did this one screening where we would show a movie to kids. And then we would do a craft. And we were like, let's do this one about clay and play clay. So we made play clay, which is basically flour and water and salt. And we destroyed the activity. The carpet was covered in ground in play clay. And I think that was the last show that I did. But it was still great. The kids had a blast, but we wrecked that room. So thank you, Eric, for the coffee, and thank you for the memories. This is a short little film that I did. I showed this as part of a show that I did at an actual school cafeteria. This was in conjunction with Alamo Draft House in Austin, the original Alamo. And we did a fundraiser for the PTA at this grade school. And they were willing to have us show cafeteria manners films and etiquette films. And we had like cafeteria food. So we had tater tots. We had, I can't remember what else it was. Tater tots stood out, but I think there was tater tots, chicken fingers. So everybody, all these like hipsters, like were waiting in line with these little trays, and they all got tater tots. And what was the vegetable? I think it was carrots. It was all finger food. And so I showed some of the films that I've shown in the past, like Lunchroom Manners with Mr. Bungle. And this one I showed showing that lunchrooms, it's not just about kids. So here we go.
Okay, everybody, food's ready. Line up for your trays and let's get started. Hi, how are you? What can I do for you? Okay, there you go. Hi. Gentlemen, gentlemen, take this tray. Chris, look. Hey, look, take this tray. Chris, come over here and do something. Hey.
Oops. Oopsie daisy. Did that work? I think it did. Maybe. There was. It's so short that. Can you just comment that I actually did show it in the. I'm sorry. I got caught up in trying to bounce. I have like 10 windows open. All right. But did you see that? So you saw them with the film? Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. We're good. Sorry. There was a little, because it's so short, and there's no narration. It's just really just this. It's part of this a series of what are called trigger films, which are designed to have different people in different occupations comment on, like, what would you do in this situation? So this is for working with older people. And, the idea is you show this to people, social workers, or you show it to people that work, the staff, and then you say, like, you show it, and you say, like, what would you do in this situation? And so it just seemed like it worked so well. The follow-up for the cafeteria show is the principal was excited, and he totally got it. And so there was a mixture of hipsters and then kids and their parents who actually went to the school. We had, at one point, we were formulating, like, maybe we could do, like, a lice check. But the principal's like, no, we actually have a problem with lice, so let's not do that. And so afterwards, somebody sent me, it was like a couple of weeks later, somebody sent me, it was in maybe Craigslist or Austin Chronicle. It was like a misconnections. And it said, hey, you were at that lunchroom, AV Geeks lunchroom cafeteria show, and we were looking at DVDs, and I felt weird trying to get your phone number at a grade school cafeteria. So hopefully there was a love connection there. I don't know. So Mr. Wizard is one of those people that on television that inspired a lot of people to become scientists. And he's also one of those people who's not really a scientist, that he was just a TV guy. And so he's like Dr. Irwin Moon from Moody Institute of Science, who the films inspired a lot of people to investigate science, even though Dr. Moon had a PhD in religion. And then Dr. Frank Baxter from the Bell Science series, he had a PhD in English studies. So all these people that presented these amazing films about science to kids, none of them were scientists. So this thing is not one of his TV shows. This is a weird thing. This is basically, it's a film, and it's sponsored by, well, I'll let you see who it's sponsored by, but the show is all about the sponsor. So I'm wondering if this was like a pilot, or if this was something that they were like, well, we can get this sponsor and then we can, I'm not sure what the story behind this is, but this is called Watch Mr. Wizard. And this is very similar to what the TV show was like, and very similar to what is parodied on Police Squad. So here's Watch Mr. Wizard.
Day living. Willie and Betsy, two of the kids in the neighborhood, are coming through the door right now. And watch Mr. Wizard.
Hi,
Hi, Mr. Wizard. What you doing?
Come on down here and I'll show you.
Magnetism. Hey, the question mark there. How'd that get?
Was because of that magic word, electromagnetism. Willie, do you know what electromagnetism means?
Electro for maybe electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Magnetism for, oh, magnetism.
Magnetism made with electricity. Now let's look at that thing called electromagnetism. Okay. Betsy, you know that a magnet picks up things, don't you?
Oh, sure. Tacks, pins, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, now here's a bar magnet. Now, I'm going to put a piece of cardboard over the top. And you take this shaker that's got iron filings in it, and you put the iron filings on top of the cardboard.
Hey, mister, that bar magnet's making a design.
Isn't that funny? And you see, that's because lines of force attract the iron filings, and so we're actually making the lines of force of the magnet visible with the iron filings.
I feel like it. Yeah.
Now, a long time ago, magnetic field around the wire.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And that's what I used to make this question mark here.
Oh, but I don't see any wires.
Well, here, look.
The question.
That's right. And when I turned on the current, electricity through the wires, and the electricity created a magnetic field around the wires, and that's what attracted the iron filings, and that's what made the question mark. See?
Oh.
Now, let's disconnect this right here and go back and look at some other things that we can do when we send electricity through a wire. Now, come on.
Okay.
You kids get right here by the desk. 'Cause I want to show you this. Now, all the things that we're going to do here today, you could do using dry cells at home, but because we're going to use a lot of current and do lots of things, I have to substitute this piece of equipment for the batteries, see? It's a special sort of equipment that changes alternating current to direct current.
Oh, I see. You mean current that goes back and forth to current that goes one way.
Mm-hmm. So every time we connect this thing right here, you take that one, you take this one. Every time we connect those battery clips to any piece of equipment here, we're doing the same thing as connecting dry cells. Now let's connect those things right here to this wire. Betsy, you connect yours here on top, and Willie, you connect yours on the bottom.
Okay. There.
Okay, now Betsy, you sprinkle on the iron filings. I'll turn on the current.
Okay.
All around. Now, Willie, you tap the piece of wood.
Hey, look at the circle. Well, look just like concentric circles.
Now, do you know what's forming in the circles around the wire?
Well, isn't it the electricity going through the wire that's causing the magnetism?
Right. Now, how could we make that magnetic field stronger?
You could use a longer wire.
Yes, that's right. You could use a longer wire, but that means we'd have to stretch it all the way across the room. Now, how can we get that same length of wire, but, you know, make it shorter?
Oh,
You take off your battery clips.
okay.
Willie, you take yours off the bottom. And let's go down there and look at that. You connect yours over there, Willie, and Betsy, you connect yours there. Now, see this wire here? This is just like the wire back there. This time it's coiled around underneath the board and comes up through this hole and goes round and around and around. Now, Betsy, you take the iron filings and sprinkle them all over the board.
Okay.
Okay, I think that ought to be enough. Now, Willie, you tap the board.
Hey,
See that?
look at the circles formed around the wire.
You see all the circles there, and you see how strong it is in the middle? And that's because we've got the wires together, and the magnetism is increased. Now, how could we actually make the magnetic field even stronger?
Can't use any more wire.
No, can't use any more wire.
Well...
I'll give you a clue. Use something that they make magnets out of.
Oh, iron.
Here, Willie, you take the iron bolt and slip it inside the coil.
Okay.
Then tap the cardboard.
Sure. Hey, Mr. Wizard, look, we put some more power on that. Look at the lines are curving in or now.
That's right. Now, what we've actually done is made a real electromagnet by putting a bolt in there which sort of acts as a funnel. Or it kind of attracts all the magnetism you see, and that's what makes the lines of magnetic force stronger, because we had that core in there. Now, let's use the same idea in electromagnet, in other words, coils with a core in the center. But this time, let's make the core free to move and make a sort of magnetic jumping jack. Here, I'll turn the current off. You take the clips off, Betsy, and Willie, you take the bolt out. And come on over here to the table. Okay. Now, Betsy, you take one and I'll take one. You connect your battery clip down there and I'll connect mine up here. Let's see what's going to happen when I turn on the current. See, the current is going to come up here through the wire after I turn on the switch and go down through this wire, through these wire coils, all the way down here, see? Then when it gets down here, it's going down through this wire and it's going to touch that mercury down there. See the mercury in the dish?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, that mercury conducts electricity and it's also touching this piece of metal here. Well, the current then is going through the metal and back here to the switch again.
Oh.
So what do you think is going to happen when the current starts going through the wire, Betsy?
Well, there'll be magnetism around the coil.
That's right. Around each one of those coils, there'll be a magnetism. And, Willie, what's going to happen when there's magnetism in each one of those coils?
Well, coils will be pulled together.
That's right. They'll be pulled together by the magnetism. And, Betsy, what's going to happen to the length of the coil when the wires are pulled together?
It'll get shorter.
That's right. It'll get shorter. Then, Willie, what's going to happen down here?
Well, the piece of wire will go out of the mercury and break the circuit.
It'll break the circuit. And then what happens to the magnetism here in the coil?
It's released. I mean,
there
there's
isn't
no
any more.
magnetism.
That's right. So what'll happen to the length of the coil?
It'll increase. It'll go
get
down.
longer again, and then the point goes back into the mercury, and what happens?
It goes back up again.
Goes back up
Completes
again.
the
So it'll
circuit.
go up and down. Okay, I'm going to turn on the switch and watch what happens.
Hey, that's something. Look
Isn't
at it
that
go up and
something?
down. Gee, it's really a jumping jack.
That's right. Now, that's because we have electricity going through the wires and creating magnetism, pulling the wires together and making it jump up and down. Now, how can we make that magnetism stronger?
With the iron bar.
Sure. Well, you take that iron bolt and put it right down through the center of the coil.
Wow, look what's happening.
See it
Look
jump?
at it jump up and down now. Real fast.
Now, there we've got an electromagnet, you see, because we've got electricity going through the coils, creating the magnetism, and we're concentrating the magnetism. We're making it stronger by having an iron core, that bolt. Really jumps, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Okay, now let's turn it off. And Betsy, you take off that battery clip, and Willie, you take out the bolt from up there.
Okay.
Now, you take this. I'm going to try to put this in a shelf without spilling the mercury.
There.
Right. Now, come on up here. Here's another electromagnet, the one you're looking at right there, Betsy. Bring it over here. And you get down and see if you can find the electromagnet. Here, wait, I'll put my leg up there and you can sit down right on my leg there.
Electromagnet.
Find the electromagnet.
Right there?
Mm-hmm. Now, I want you to tell me what's going to happen when I turn on the switch, and you start right here and trace the circuit.
Well, electricity's going to come to the switch right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming down this wire. It'll go around and around and around there. And then it'll come back up, and it'll go on this wire right here, up to the nail.
Okay. Now, when the electricity is going through that wire around and around, what's going to happen?
There'll be magnetism,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll draw up the hinge,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll stop it.
Yeah, that's right. Until you take your finger off
Yeah.
the switch, and then what happens?
Then there won't be any magnetism anymore, and it'll drop down.
Mm-hmm. It'll go up and down, up and down. Now, you put your hand up there on the switch and work it up and down like a telegraph key when I turn it on. Okay. See that? See how it jumps up and down? I put that nail on the outside there so give it a little more weight and makes a little more noise. Now let Willie try it.
Sounds and looks just like one of a regular railway office.
That's a regular telegraph key. In fact, you may be surprised to find out that that's exactly the way a telegraph key in a telegraph office works. You have an electromagnet that moves a little lever up and down. That's what makes the click.
I see. Now, let's see what I need to make one. A hinge
Mm-hmm.
and some wire
Yeah.
for the electromagnet, 2 screws, some wood, a metal strip up there, and, well, some batteries.
And some batteries, and you're all set. You can probably have a lot of fun making one of these, but I'd suggest if you're going to make one at home, that you make one that has a lot better sound and uses an ordinary tin can.
A tin can?
In fact, I've got one all made up over there. Go on over and look at it.
Oh, boy.
See this
It's
one?
real neat, Mr. Wizard.
Now, Betsy, if you step back just a minute so I can put these 2 battery clips on here. Now, let's trace the circuit. You see what happens here? The electricity goes up through this battery clip, through the wire, And when I push down on the key, it goes through here, around through this wire, see, and up and goes around through and makes an electromagnet right here, and then, of course, goes back to the other battery clip. So now what will happen then when the magnetism is created right here?
Well, the can will be pulled toward the electromagnet.
Except that I've got the can bolted down so it can't move. What do you think will happen, Betsy?
I don't know.
Well, here's what's going to happen. The electromagnet is going to pull the can bottom in this direction. And then it's going to pull it until it touches the bolt that the electromagnet is wound around. And then the elasticity of the can is going to pull the bottom of the can back. So it's going to vibrate back and forth. And you know what happens when something vibrates back and forth fast enough?
Oh, sure, it creates a sound.
It makes a sound. Okay, you touch the key and see.
Okay.
Oh, wait, got to turn on. Okay.
That's real nice.
Now, Willie, why don't you use that key and send me a message in Morse code?
Well, I'd be glad to, but I don't know the Morse code.
Well, I kind of thought maybe you didn't, so I'm all prepared for it. See? Here's a chart.
Oh, there's the Morse code.
And this is the Morse code. Now, why don't you find your initials and send them to me in Morse code?
Okay, let me see now. Oh.
W for Willie. And W for Watson. Very, very good. Now, Betsy, you've heard people say Roger.
Roger.
How would you like to be able to send Roger just like they do in airplanes and ships at sea?
Swell. How do we do it?
Well, here's all you have to do. You see, instead of calling out A, B, C, the pilots and the people on the ship say Abel, Baker, Charlie, Dog, Easy, Fox.
Oh, like one pilot's calling to another pilot, he says, this is Abel, calling
Baker, that's right. When you get down here to the letter R, R stands for Roger. So all you have to do when you want to say yes, you send R, dit, da, dit. Here, both of you try it. Okay, now you, Willie. Very good. Now, Betsy, how would you like to send your initials?
I'll have to use the chart.
Okay, you go ahead and use the charts and send me your initials.
Okay.
B for Betsy. Clue, I guess so. Let's see. This is a secret message about how to stay healthy and strong.
How to stay healthy and strong, hey? Anything to do with sleep?
No, sleep is important in staying healthy and strong, but this doesn't have anything to do with sleep.
Is it about exercise?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with exercise.
For sure?
No. Now, all these are important, as I say, for staying in good health, but you still haven't got it.
Is it about drinking plenty of water?
Now you're getting close.
That's 12 balanced meals a day.
Right. See, good health begins with good nutrition, and this is a secret message about good nutrition. Now, here, Betsy, you take the chart, and you go on up to the writing desk there, and Willie, get up to the drawing pad, and you write down what Betsy tells you.
Okay.
Now I'll send you the secret message. Ready?
Ready.
I'm going to send the code here with the telegraph key. Betsy, you look it up on the chart and give Willie the letter. And Willie, you write the letter down there on the drawing pad.
Okay.
Here's the first one.
Dot, dot, dot.
Dit, dit, da, dit.
F. F.
Now here's the next one.
Da, dit. Da, dit. C. C.
Here's the next one.
Da, da. Da, da. M. M.
Here's the next one now.
B. B.
And here's the last one.
Dit, dit, dit. B. B.
Now there's the secret code. If you can decipher that, why, you'll know how to start out every day following the rules of good health.
Let's see. F, C, M, B, B. I know, Mr. Wizard. Fruit, cereal, milk, bread, and butter.
That's right, Willie.
That's the secret code to good health.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's part of the code to good health, and it's really not much of a secret, Betsy, because all over the country, thousands of boys and girls start out every day with a cereal breakfast like that. And you know why?
It sure tastes good when you get up in the morning.
Roger!
And their moms like to make it because it's easy to prepare and it costs less than any other meal of the day.
Roger.
And you get from 1/4 to 1/3 of your whole day's food needs when you've had a breakfast of fruit, cereal, milk, bread and butter, or other foods for variety.
And there's the key to the most important reason of all. Nutrition experts found that a good breakfast should give you from 1/4 to 1/3 of all the food elements you need to keep going all day long, and that there's no better way to get them than from a breakfast of fruit, cereal, milk, bread, and butter. Then, too, doctors found in a series of tests on college boys and girls at a big medical school that after a breakfast of fruit, cereal, milk, bread, and butter, you're able to work better, you're a lot keener and sharper, and your muscles don't get so tired, especially during the late morning hours. So you see, there's plenty of scientific proof that it's smart to eat breakfast.
Roger.
Roger.
Is that the way a doorbell or a buzzer works?
Well, somewhat, although there are some differences. In fact, I've got a homemade one over here. You kids go on up and clear off the table, and I'll get it.
Okay.
Now, I'll connect it up, and then we'll see how this works.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you see, the electricity is going through this switch here, along this wire, see, past this screw and on this piece right here. And then it'll come up out here and go through that little contact point, and then around on the wire, all the way around here, and around through the electromagnet, and then back over here. Now, what happens then when the current goes through the electromagnet, Betsy?
There'll be magnetism there.
That's right. And then what will happen to this arm right here, Willie?
Well, it'll break the circuit.
That's right. Break the circuit just like a switch. So then there won't be any more magnetism in here. And because this arm is connected, see, with the rubber band here, the arm is going to be pulled here when there isn't any magnetism anymore. And that means the contact point will be established again, and more magnetism. So it's going to vibrate back and forth. That's what makes the sound. Okay, Betsy, you push the switch and hear it. See it? Now, Willie, do you think you could do the same thing with this commercial buzzer or bell right here?
Try.
You try it.
Well, where it comes through here, into the push button, and goes out again onto the buzzer here.
Mm-hmm.
And goes up through to this metal piece, the contact point.
There's the contact point there, and this is the one that vibrates. That's right.
Then it goes into the electromagnet.
Mm-hmm.
There's two of them.
That's right. There's two of them. It makes it stronger when there's two of them.
Oh.
Then it comes back here and goes through the wire and comes back to the
To the-
completing the circuit.
Okay, now you push the button and see what happens. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Betsy, you push yours and you watch this one vibrate, and Willie, you push yours and you watch that one vibrate. See that? Okay. Now, let's have some fun with some mysteries using electromagnetism. Come on over here.
Okay.
Okay, now you kids go around the desk and watch out for the cord there, Willie. And you get down right there in the corner and you kneel down.
Okay.
Now down there on the floor, Betsy, you'll find
Sure.
notice it's attached to a string. So you pick up the ball until it goes just to the top of the string and then let go.
Okay. Hey, how does that stay there?
See how it stays up there?
Wow, that's something, Mr. Wizard.
Now it's resting on the book. Just a minute, I'm going to pull it back and you'll see that it's not connected to the book in any way. So let me get my finger in there and move it out a little bit.
Wow, that's something, Mr.
Isn't it
Wizard.
something? There we go, see?
Oh,
Box, either run your finger up there between.
Yeah.
Remember I told you we were going to do some mysteries with an electromagnet. Can you
Sure
figure
is a
out,
mystery.
Betsy, can you figure out where the electromagnet is?
well, I think it's in that box.
Mm-hmm, you're right. It's in the box.
And, see, that's just plastic.
Mm-hmm, shake it.
There must be something metal in here.
That's right. There's a safety pin inside.
A safety pin's metal and the magnet, they come together.
Mm-hmm.
They-
Not only is it metal, but it's just attracted by a magnet. In fact, here, I'll take it apart. Just a minute. See, down it fell. Look inside here. See it?
Oh, yeah.
Right there it is.
Oh, there you had a big magnet.
Mm-hmm. This is a commercial one, all wound and covered.
Uh-huh.
Now, here's another mystery. Then I'll get these books out of the way. You kids come back here and take a look at this little man here. See this little guy?
Uh-huh.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
I gotta connect him up here. Whoops, look out now. Like this. Okay, you kids, watch this little man. Mr. Man, dance.
Hey, Mr. Wizard, what's making him dance?
Well, he's not dancing. Dance again.
What's making him stop and what's making him go?
Well, Willie, see if you can solve this one now. Remember, we're talking about the mysteries of electromagnetism.
I'll try.
What makes the little man dance? Where's the electromagnet?
Well, his legs are made of paper clips, and those are metal, and so the electric magnet must be in that little box
Little
there.
box there, that's right.
And when when the electricity's on, the safety, there's magnetism created, and the safety, the paper clips
yeah.
go down to the magnet.
What makes them stay down there then?
Well, you must have some kind of a switch you're holding, or
I
you've got
certainly
secretly
do.
held.
Right down here on the floor,
there
see?
you are.
You couldn't see it. I had a switch, you see, and all I had to do was put my foot on it.
And he makes them
It
dance.
makes them dance. And then to make them stop, all I did was go. And that's what made them dance again.
I'll
See?
be doggone a dancing boy.
A dancing boy with electromagnet.
Electromagnetism, dancing boy.
Those look like they're easy to make.
Well, they're real easy to make. All you need is paper clips, and you can cut this out of it.
And a long wire and a belt.
Now, you see, I've got some of the wire already wound around the nail. Now, I want you to wind the wire around the rest of the nail.
All right.
That's going to take a long time, but you just keep on winding. Kind of tough wire, huh?
Yeah.
Well, this is the wire that you get from a doorbell.
Oh.
I think that ought to be enough.
Okay.
Fine. Now, Ray, you take the battery.
Sure.
And lay it down on its side so you can connect these two wires. And you connect one of them right to those old posts there. And Betsy, you've made an electromagnet. See, and you take the nail like this and hold it.
Okay.
And don't connect the other wire. Well, you just hold it off now. Now let's see if the big nail is an electromagnet. You put it down into the little nail. See?
Okay.
Hold it on good and tight. Okay, now Betsy, pick up the little nail.
Gee, look what a powerful magnet I made.
Okay, isn't that something? Now let go right there, Willie. Hold it up once, Betsy. Yellow. Hold it on good and tight. Okay, now turn the current off. Wham. Now you see, we even began to make the nail into kind of a permanent magnet. See?
After a while, the magnetism stays there.
Stays in the nail, that's right. Now that looks pretty powerful, doesn't it? It's not very powerful at all. You can make one of these at home, but I've got one that was made professionally, and I want to show you how much more powerful electromagnet you can make using the current from just one dry cell. Now, Betsy, you take the wire off here, and Willie, you come with me.
Sure.
Here, Willie, you take the back.
Sure.
Betsy, you see that typewriter table up there?
Yeah.
Did you get it and move it out? You come with me.
Okay.
You get it all right?
What kind of thing is
Wow.
Isn't that something? All right, put it around here like this.
Never
You'll
seen
see.
anything like this.
You certainly haven't. Now,
Wires and
come on out over here so you can see. See this up here?
Uh-huh.
That's an electromagnet, a very special kind. And the current to supply for the electromagnet comes from these wires, see, and goes over down here. Now, Betsy, where's that battery? We'll put the battery in right like this. Now, I'll connect it in, but it's still not turned on. Kind of, there's a switch down here, and the switch is open. Okay, piece of metal here? Well, that goes right here at the bottom of the electromagnet. Now, Willie, my boy, would you like to swing?
On what?
On the swing here.
Well, I can't swing on that.
Well, you go ahead and try it. Ease your weight down real carefully. Now, there's a current from one battery.
Well, where's the total?
Gee.
Hey,
Isn't
one
that something?
battery.
One battery. Hold on. In fact, here, you nice and comfortable? Okay, look out.
Wow.
See that? The current from one...
May I try it?
Well, now, wait. I'll get for you to do. Willie, you stop just like that. And Betsy, you see that switch up there? You go in the switch.
All right.
Watch what happens to Willie.
Hey, that was fun. Gee, that's only one better.
Were you expecting that?
No.
Well, kids, here, will you hold this? We've had a lot of fun playing around today, but actually the thing that we've been playing with is very important in your everyday life. In fact, every time you ring a doorbell, make a call on the telephone, send a telegram, turn on the radio, or watch television, you're using something that's no longer a question. Electromagnetism.
The Serial Institute. I actually have a couple of films by the Serial Institute. I did a whole show called C is for Serial. And so this probably came out around 1951, 52. And the whole thing about the Morse code that unlocks the code, which somebody jokingly said, drink more Ovaltine. Yes, very similar in that it is, you saw The Complete Breakfast. And this is something that if you were a child of the 70s and 80s, you would remember the cartoon mascot saying, avoiding the kids and, finally getting their cereal. This is part of A Complete Breakfast. And The Complete Breakfast would show a bowl of cereal, would show fruit, would show bread and butter, and then, milk being poured on the cereal. And it's like, wait a minute. If you're getting your carbohydrates from the bread, like, what is the point of the carbohydrates in the cereal? The milk is, your dairy, protein, and then your fruit, your vitamins. And it's like, what is the point of the cereal? And it's because the cereal was enriched with vitamins and minerals. And I put a link in Facebook and on YouTube to where you can actually extract the iron that they fortify cereal with. At one point, I read an article long time ago, long before I was collecting films, where somebody, I think, had a thing of cornflakes or something, and he noticed that he could see little black flecks. And he wrote Kellogg's, and they were like, oops, yeah, that's too much. We're not distributing the flecks small enough. They're visible to some people who are looking for them. So they kind of figured out another way to put iron in there. But 51 is roughly when there was a giant campaign to make breakfast cereal like a responsible meal for kids, marketed to mothers. The whole campaign of marketing cereal to kids with Sugar Bear and other cereals that followed after that is all started in right in the early 50s. And this was a big deal. So this film is interesting to me, not only because of some of the science concepts in Mr. Wizard, but it's also interesting because it really kind of talks about that big cereal push that all of us in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, that's why there's a cereal aisle. Before that, there was only a couple of things of cereal. It was like oatmeal and, Purina and some other things. But, this entire industry grew out of the Cereal Institute. So, thanks everybody for tuning in today and letting me ramble on about various things. There were lots of films today that had little backstories that I enjoy sharing with you. I hope you enjoy them. I don't know. I'm just going to blather on because it's my show. If you like what you saw, please hit like and subscribe. You can certainly buy me more coffee. We're going to get a grocery store order today, so there's lots of coffee thanks to your kind generosity. You can go to avgeeks.com, and there's more stuff there. You can find Better Breakfast, which is another Serial Institute film, and there's some other things up there. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Thanks again, and we will talk soon. Take care.